This is going to be such a good review. Hey review family, keep it tight. My name is Jay Morris, the review guy, and I'm back again to bring you another video. And in this one, I'm going to be talking about the brand new Amon Amarth album entitled Berserker. Amon Amarth is a heavy metal band formed in 1992. They are Swedish, and this is their 11th studio-length album. They're one of the key contributors to the Swedish melodic death metal movement, as well as just melodic death metal in general, and have been one of the most consistently visceral, ferocious, and just consistently putting stuff out melodic death metal band that you're gonna find. Fate of Norns, With Odin on Our Side, Twilight of the Thunder Gods, Deceiver of the Gods, and personally one of my favorite melodic death metal releases ever, Jomsviking. This previous album came out in 2016, and it was such a high point for the band, in my opinion. The drums felt massive and gargantuan, the guitars were so chuggy, almost thrash metal inspired, but still had that melodic death metal bliss to them. And of course, you can't talk about Amon Amarth without talking about Johan Hegg's amazing vocals. What a powerful, recognizable voice. What a powerful voice in heavy metal, specifically melodic death metal. The way he gets his voice to have these inflections, where he'll go up and then immediately come down, and it'll sound so smooth. It's just like, I don't think I can replicate. So that kind of like rolling down sound, I love that so much, and it really adds this spice to a genre that's usually just like Jomsviking was their first foray into concept albums. Now, they have always dabbled in mythological themes, historical themes, all that kind of stuff, pagan stuff, Viking stuff, but Jomsviking was the first time they nailed it down into one solid concept, and in my opinion, it came out in a amazing way. It made it such an epic album to listen to because you had the great instrumentation, you had the great vocals, and then you had this like massive story being told that was almost an hour long, so it was basically a movie. This is even longer. Jomsviking was 52 minutes, this is 57 minutes, and here we are with Berserker. Now with these singles, when I first heard Crack the Sky, I was a little bit let down, I'm not gonna lie, because something that I should point out before we get into this album is the fact that they have a new drummer. Jocke Wallgren, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, joined the band in 2016, a little bit after they made Jomsviking, and the drums are good, but they're not as crushing and as vibrant and as exuberant as Jomsviking. It hurts me to say that because I love Amon Amarth, and the drum work is good on this album, but it's just kind of run-of-the-mill. Through these tracks, the drums aren't leading it. They're not something that I'm paying as much attention to as I did on Jomsviking, where literally I was so into the drums on that album. They were so crushing, they were so in the mix, they were so powerful, which added to these like Viking dirges and Viking triumphant epics. And on the subject of Crack the Sky, it's Amon Amarth 101. It didn't blow me away, it didn't knock me off my feet, and to be honest, a lot of this album can feel that way. A lot of this album can feel a little bit Amon Amarth 101, and especially coming off the high, in my opinion, that was Jomsviking, it's sometimes hard to take a step back from that album and say, this is its own album. But in this review, I'm going to try to do that as best as I can. Crack the Sky does have some nice kind of epic gothic melodies in my opinion, and some of these sinister melodies really do come through and sound very nice. In other words, I don't want to discredit it entirely. Raven's Flight as a single, in my opinion, is much better, and it's definitely a standout. It's over 5 minutes long, and these chuggy melodic death metal and thrash metal hybrid riffs that are coming out of these guitars are so insanely invigorating. It makes you want to go to battle, just like this album would kind of entail. Johan sounds great on this album. I kind of forgot to say that, but Johan always sounds great, but he just sounds even more visceral on this album and even more bestial. On Raven's Flight, I love how the guitar kind of jumps from ear to ear and drifts in that intro. It's like, oh god, no, what's about to happen? The guitar solo on Raven's Flight is also pretty good, but that's another little nitpicky thing I can have, which I guess is kind of not a nitpick, but on Jomsviking, I think the guitar solos made more sense, were more cohesive, and were just better overall. And it sucks for me to say that because the guitar solos on this album are very technical, they're very nice, but they are a little kind of meat and potatoes Amon Amarth. And the thing about that is, if any other band like Amon Amarth was making solos and making tracks like this, it would be amazing. It would be a big event. But for this specific band, I guess I just set the bar a little bit too high in my own mind, coming off the high of some of their best albums that came out in the 2010s. Another little minor gripe is some of the kind of like low, really deep in the throat singing vocals to be kind of like Viking-esque. An example of that would be on the track Ironside, where it's just like I mean, I fully get what they're going for. I get the theme of the album. I get that it's like supposed to be epic, but more times than not, it would just kind of make me chuckle, and it wouldn't be as epic as it probably should have been. Mjolnir, Hammer of Thor, kind of got me really hyped with that interesting dinging percussion as you open up the track. It sounds like super foreboding alongside the guitars, but then it kind of just goes into Amon Amarth 101 once again. The Berserker at Stamford Bridge is kind of like a historical track, I'm pretty sure. The theme of this track makes it so much more epic, and the lyrics are just as invigorating as the instrumentation is. Johan just roaring over this instrumentation. The drums, while they aren't as crushing on Jomsviking, I shouldn't discredit them entirely. They are very present and they are very nice in the mix. The guitars are chuggy, and some of the nice melodic riffs that they come through, specifically in the latter half of the track near the 4 and 5 minute mark, are some of the best melodies that you're going to hear on this album, in my opinion. Into the Dark, 6 minutes 48 seconds, and this has pianos and violins. It opens up the track and ends the track out in an epic fashion, an orchestral fashion. I mean, it's Amon Amarth, so I don't know what you would really expect from this. It's triumphant, it's epic. The song itself is just kind of Amon Amarth 101. I know I keep saying that, but it's just like melodic, heavy, chuggy riffs that borderline on heavy and brutal a lot of times. Johan's amazing vocal structures and amazing vocal acrobatics, even though he's not like reinventing the wheel, he doesn't really need to for how much vocal presence he has and how much just natural ferocity he has. Shieldwall has one of the most just unescapable refrains in the chorus that I can't get over, and it's staying in my mind when it's just like, Vikings, raise the shield wall, hold the front line. It's just super chuggy and down-tuned, and he just sounds like he's just commanding his battle forces. I love on the track Fasteners Gold, or Fasteners Gold, how the guitars are just like having this battle between brutal and melodic as the vocals are coming through, and if you listen close, he's just freaking out in the background, and it can't decide if it wants to be brutal or if it wants to be nice and pretty. It's nice. I have to praise the guitar work on this album. Also, I will praise the bass. It can get a little drowned out in the mix, as usual, for not only Amon Amarth, but a lot of heavy metal bands. But even though it does get drowned out a little bit, some of the parts where it is audible in the background, it adds this nice natural distortion. You can clearly tell it's a bass, but it adds a lot of times this like sinister melody in the background. I like it a lot. I mean, I know I've had a lot of nitpicks. I know I have like had quite a few nitpicks, but this is a nice Amon Amarth album. Amon Amarth, at one of their like lesser points compared to some of the recent albums, are still better than a lot of the bands in their genre, and I enjoyed this album thoroughly. I love the vocals, I love the topics that they picked, I love the lyricism in general. The drums, while they aren't as crushing, still have a lot of presence. I love the lead and rhythm guitars dancing in this like twin battle. The bass adds that nice distortion, and overall, for almost an hour's worth of material, there was not a point where I was just like, yeah, I just want to turn this off. So it's not my favorite Amon Amarth album, but it's a band that I hold so close to my heart, and I'm happy that they didn't come out with a dud. At this point, I don't think that's really possible, because even them at their worst, like I said, it's better than most at their best. I'm going to be giving this album a 7 out of 10. And that is a wrap. Please stay for the end screen. I'll link some videos that you might be interested in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on this video if you enjoyed, and smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. I'll talk to you guys next time, but until then, my name is Jay Morse, Review Guy, and I'm signing off saying farewell.